I didn't see the Druski video until a loved one who I hadn't heard from in years hit me like, "Hi Dave, I really want to know what you think about this." So I searched it up on YouTube, hit the comments, and saw Mike Todd's response. And here's my conclusion, guys. We love the wrong type of content. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Druski's video is downright hilarious and way too accurate. Like, the man studied. You got the weirdly sensual pastor, the clever wordplay that gets the sensually minded excited, the almost exclusively female congregation, the transparent pulpit. The boy did not miss. He's not the issue here. The problem here is the reason why we love this content so much. We love this content for the same reason we love the Drake and Kendrick beef. We love Gladiator Sports.
Are you not entertained?
We love a vicarious beatdown of someone we do not like. Guys, Gladiator Sports were a highly organized, ritualized blood sport featuring trained combatants, mostly slaves and prisoners and voluntary warriors who would fight it out to the death. If you think the Druski Todd thing has nothing to do with Gladiator Sports, consider that one, it is highly organized. Druski's video took all types of planning and coordination, just like these megachurch services. Consider that it's also ritualized. It's like every year we gather to light some suspect megachurch pastor on fire, right? It also features trained combatants. Druski is a pro at using comedy to make a point. And Mike Todd, unfortunately, is really good at rhetoric and spectacle to make commonplace things and sometimes inaccurate things sound more insightful than they really are. Charisma does that. And lastly, these combatants are sadly slaves. In this case, slaves to sin, slaves to the laugh, fame, money, attention, self, pride. Guys, this is the same old Gladiator Sports. It's just the 2026 church edition. Now, I want to give you a couple pro tips on how to understand and deal with the yearly suspect church nonsense. Number one, friends, remember it's an attention economy out here. So while laughing at and correcting these people might get the churches in their feelings, what you don't understand is that it stirs up the devotion of their flock. This happens with Donald Trump.
I wonder, is there anything that could change your mind on Donald Trump? Is there any piece of evidence that could come out that would change your guys' mind? No.
Laugh at them and they just get crazier in their devotion. Trump is the mature form of this, and Mike Todd is the far less developed form, but a form nonetheless. Number two, remember that this is about idolatry, right? That's what you need to remember about a lot of the people who follow these charismatic leaders. It's not love, it's idolatry. The pastors are usually a husband and wife public combo that represent an ideal for the people that follow them. It's the prosperity, it's the wealth, the health, their marriage. Their members are hoping that their leaders' blessed life will rub off on them, so they stay close to their leaders. This is why when you criticize their leaders, these people magically transform into PhDs in nuance and in context. So instead of joining the crowd to watch the Gladiator sport, here's what we should be doing. We should ignore these suspect pastors. Peter promised that they will be around until Jesus comes back, and having haters is a form of currency for them. Secondly, we should enjoy Jesus deeply by growing in obedience, lest we end up being hypocrites because we got enamored by how good we feel about ourselves standing next to them. Jesus is the standard, y'all, not the Mike Todds of the world. And three, please invite people who love these suspect pastors into healthier ministries. I got a friend who goes to a church that had Jesse Duplantis come preach.
You know, I've owned 3 different jets in my life, and used them and just burning them up for the Lord Jesus Christ.
And instead of explaining to him that Jesse Duplantis is a false teacher, I just invited him to my church's Bible study, which he now attends. Hallelujah. If you're interested, comment me out, I'll add you. Now, Mike Todd is right in a sense, guys. All of this is a distraction, but his ministry is included in the distraction package. And yes, Druski's skit is absolutely hilarious. But Christian, what did you gain from watching it? Nothing. Druski called out what you should already know, that there are wolves in these pulpits, and some of these wolves are well fed. See, the gladiator sport that we should be concerned about is the fight against our flesh and the principalities of darkness out here. And if we're going to be this invested in content, before we watch, we should ask ourselves a crucial question. Does this content challenge me or keep me comfortable in my walk with Christ? Now, because I love you, I decided not to leave you on your own to find this challenging content that's good for your soul. And instead, I'm going to bless you with some to practice with. So I give you Prophetess Jordan.
Now, angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka atara.
Oops. Okay, my bad, y'all. Okay, here we go.
So what's your take?
I don't think people are actually religious. I think the people that are religious are the fundamentals that are blowing up and banging down doors. Those people actually believe it. But I believe in God, but I let people live their lives.
Oh my.
Bull. I quit eating sugar. I've told every single one of my friends about it to try and help them get off sugar. If I thought they were going to burn in hell, I would be shaking them awake in the middle of the night and being like, accept Jesus into your life, please. My aunt, she is religious.
What has she done?
She texts me every day.
So the people that come knock on the door and they say,
The fanatics, the people who we deem crazy,
those are religious people.
these motherfuckers being like, I'm a Christian, but gay, I love gays. No. You don't get to make caveats. You don't get to believe there's a dude in the sky orchestrating shit. It's so delusional. It's crazy.
So you think that in order to be religious, you have to be essentially a fundamentalist?
You have to be one of the people on the train that are like crazy.
I'm petitioning that she get a prophetess title at the next Holy Convocation. See, prophets in the Bible do two things. They foretell or tell the future, and forthtell or declare God's opinion on a matter. Jordan Jensen, a comedian, did the latter here. She gave us God's take on lukewarm Christianity by calling it out for what it is. It's fake. It's a fraud. Her take seems wild at first, but if you listen closely, she's really saying something profound. Here are my 4 takeaways that left me praising God. Lukewarm Christians aren't Christians. She's valid on this, y'all. We live in a world where people are offended if you reject their self-identification. And while we could talk about gender and gender dysphoria, lukewarm Christianity is a religious dysphoria. It acts like Christianity doesn't have a clear code of conduct and only exists as a figment of one's imagination. But that's just arrogant, y'all. Like, let me take the symbol of ultimate sacrifice and bedazzle it in diamonds and lay it over my designer outfit because that is somehow consistent with suffering a gruesome death on a cross for the sins of humanity. It's delusional. It's crazy. The language used to defend oneself in these situations is often like, this is my personal relationship with Jesus. But saints, God has not revealed Christianity only to you, but to the world. So while your relationship with him is personal, it's not a completely private one. God has designed Christianity to be a public park. Your faith is a public tree, and it's by your fruit that we know you. Christians persuade people to love Jesus. Frogs jump, cats meow, and Christians try to persuade people to see Jesus to be exactly what he is. Beautiful. If Jesus is of inestimable value and the cost of not knowing him is eternal damnation, then how much do you have to hate a person to not share Jesus with him? What Jensen gets wrong here, though, is that she equates zealotry with faithfulness. Jesus doesn't call us to the anxious and ineffective tactics like texting our niece on the daily, like, please, please, please accept Jesus. No, our master commands us to be winsome and relational and patient. And her aunt doesn't seem to be doing any of those things, at least to me. The Bible is clear enough to obey. Despite all the squishy statements on homosexuality you will hear from some Christians, this woman thinks the Bible is clear on a topic. What she is mocking here is not Christians loving homosexuals, but by saying, I'm a Christian, but gays, I love gays, she is mocking Christians who affirm the homosexual lifestyle as something that God calls good. It's not. What our prophetess gets wrong, though, is that she equates being a fundamentalist with being a faithful Christian. A classic example of this is how some Christians interpreted like Psalm 104 verse 5. The verse says, he sets the earth on its foundation so that it should never be moved. And some people took that verse as a reason to reject heliocentrism. But Psalm 104 isn't trying to make a cosmological argument. The point of the psalm is that God is so great that he has absolute control over things that we don't have control over. Lastly, Christianity should be crazy to the world. Jordan is right. Christians are supposed to be crazy, but she's wrong about the type of crazy we're supposed to be. She thinks our craziness is in a Bob Jones fundamentalism, a pharisaical proselytizing zealousness, but our craziness is not to be in our tone deafness, but in our willingness to sacrifice our lives for truth, goodness, and beauty. Our strangeness should be that we are in touch with reality in a far deeper way than other people groups, because we are in touch with ultimate reality himself in Yahweh. Unfortunately, though, we don't have much of this strangeness, possibly because we are spending too much time trying to be as similar to non-Christians as we can possibly be, and it's leaving us with a Christianity that not only costs us very little, but is incredibly profitable. But it wasn't always this way, y'all. There was a time when a man named Telemachus tried to stop a gladiator fight in an ancient Roman amphitheater and pleaded with the crowd that this wasn't right, but his love was met with violence and the crowd stoned him to death. The emperor of the time, however, was so impressed by the monk's martyrdom that he issued a historic ban on the fights. Telemachus, guys, had no love for the gladiator fights because he had conquered himself. He got over himself, and in getting over himself, he was willing to lay down his life for other people. And it's not just Mike Todd who needs this getting over themselves. We do too. Every day, winning the fight against our flesh and the world by the same Spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Let's grow, saints. I'm out.